Hey guys, welcome to my video of Gremlins. Now, I'm just going to give you a heads up, this video is actually a re-upload. I originally uploaded it a few years ago, but I had to take it down due to copyright reasons, to which some adjustments and tweaks and changes had to be made, so the video is back online for you all to enjoy. And considering that the video is actually quite old, I started to make it just as I was starting to get an audience, it's interesting to go back and to see how much I've changed. I think I've become a lot more confident since then. I think that my narration has improved, so enjoy the video. Let's be honest, who doesn't love Gremlins? The warm-hearted family Christmas movie with many magical moments, like watching monsters explode in microwaves along with getting sliced apart by blenders. Gremlins tells the story of Billy Peltzer, whom gets a mogwai for Christmas and names him Gizmo. Billy must follow 3 rules. 1. Don't get him wet. 2. Keep him away from bright light. And 3. Never ever feed him after midnight. And of course, Billy fails to live up to the rules, and thus Gremlins are born. Funny and yet horrific little monsters whom terrorize a small town, leaving it up to Billy and Gizmo to stop the crazy Gremlins shenanigans, along with the troublesome Gremlin leader, Stripe. So because Gremlins is such a treasured and enjoyable movie, we are going to go through a list of 10 things that you might not know about this film. By the way, I know this is irrelevant and all, but I just love the way the Gremlins go, Deagle, 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 when they go to Mrs. Deagle's house. So with that, let's check it out. Number 10. Gremlins started off as an E.T. sequel. That's right, Steven Spielberg's E.T., which came out 2 years before Gremlins, was a massive success, in which movie audiences fell in love with the adorable alien who wanted to phone home. And considering just what a success E.T. was, Spielberg was tampering with the idea of an E.T. sequel. His idea for a sequel was a bunch of E.T. aliens coming to Earth. But unlike E.T., they weren't cute and adorable, but more troublesome and mischievous and run amok. The idea of making an E.T. sequel was scrapped, and instead the project evolved into Gremlins, thanks to writer Chris Columbus, who was in the process of writing a story about little monsters who run havoc, in which Spielberg acted as executive producer and Joe Dante directed. But that didn't stop E.T. from having a cameo in the film, in the form of a plush toy. Frankly, I am glad Gremlins became its own movie and not an E.T. sequel. But you know what? That scene when the Gremlins are running amok in the bar, yeah, you know that scene where a Gremlin shoots another Gremlin in the head? I just would have loved to have seen one E.T. alien shooting another E.T. alien in the head. But hey, I'm a weirdo. Number 9. Tim Burton was considered for directing the movie. Yeah, indeed, before Joe Dante got on board, Johnny Depp's dad / Hollywood Prince of Darkness himself, Tim Burton, was considered for the position of directing Gremlins, on the account that Spielberg was impressed with Burton's short film Frankenweenie, but obviously didn't feel confident enough using Burton's services on the account that Burton was yet to direct a full feature movie. So Burton went on to make Pee-wee's Big Adventure instead. I feel that had Burton directed Gremlins, it definitely would have been more surreal and darker, with spooky visuals. But we can only imagine what Burton's rendition of Gremlins would have been like. Coming to think of it, it may have actually been weird having Gremlins running around with scissors for hands. Number 8. The original script was insanely violent. Now you've got to feel sorry for Billy Peltzer's poor dog Barney, For some reason, writer Chris Columbus really had it in for poor Barney, as he did not like that dog at all. Not only do we see this poor dog hanging up by Christmas lights, but in the original script, the Gremlins actually eat Billy's helpless dog.
Jeez, Columbus, what did Barney ever do to you?
But not only that, there was a whole heap of blood splattering moments in the original Gremlins treatment. For example, the Gremlins chop Billy's mum's head off, where they then throw her head down the stairs. Obviously, the nasty bits were cut out to make the movie more family friendly and marketable. Number 7. Gremlins had an interesting casting process. Actress Phoebe Cates played Billy Peltzer's sweet and humble girlfriend Kate. But not everyone in the production was down on this choice of casting, and found casting her somewhat controversial.
Because 2 years earlier, she appeared in the teen comedy drama Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where she performed the infamous raunchy garden sequence.
I guess they thought that scene would get in the way of her starring in a family-friendly movie. As for the role of Billy Peltzer, well, Emilio Estevez and Judd Nelson were both considered for the role, but actor Zach Galligan got the role simply because when he turned up on the set for an audition, he had really good chemistry with Cates. And, well, the chemistry must have been pretty darn good, as it instantly got him the job. But hey, it paid off, as I think Galligan does a pretty good job in the movie. Number 6. Gremlins had an Atari game. Yep, that's right. For gamers who just couldn't get enough of Gremlins could now participate in their very own Gremlins adventure, thanks to the marvellous wonder known as the Atari 2600. And I love the cover art. Gizmo is not happy and is taking no chances and is getting the hell out of there. I don't know what Stripe said, but Gizmo was not having a bar of it. So in Space Invaders fashion, you're Billy Peltzer, who has to catch mogwais falling from the sky to, stop them from eating hamburgers.
Yes, just like the movie. Of course! Everyone remembers that scene where it was endlessly raining mogwais from the sky and Billy had to stop them from eating burgers. Because let's face it, they can't eat them burgers. No, they're not eating burgers.
Yeah, Atari was never really known for their accuracy when it comes to movie-based video game tie-ins. But hey, like I said, at least the box cover artwork was pretty good.
So before we go further, I just want to introduce you to my Gizmo toy here. He actually sings. You've got to turn him on though. I think his on switch is on his ass. Sorry about this, Gizmo. So, as I was saying...
Number 5. Gremlins was filmed in Hill Valley. Yeah, that's right. The set used for the town of Kingston Falls in Gremlins would, the very next year, become Hill Valley for another Spielberg-related project, Back to the Future. And I think in a lot of shots you can clearly see it's the same set. In fact, when I was a kid, I used to assume that both movies took place in the same universe and in the same town. Now you got to admit, that would have been cool. I guess we would have called it the Spielberg-verse? So if you have ever watched Gremlins and felt the scenery looked familiar, that's probably because it was, and that you have already seen the set in one of the other big family fantasy movies that came out in the 1980s. Number 4. The scene where Kate talks about how her father died was controversial.
And that's how I found out there was no Santa Claus.
Nearing the movie's climax, there is a really bizarre, out-of-context scene in which, in the height of all the action, the movie suddenly stalls, where Kate randomly tells a story about how her father died by getting stuck in the family's chimney while being dressed as Santa on the account that he wanted to surprise them in what is actually a pretty stupid idea gone wrong.
The house was freezing, so I went to try to light up the fire, and that's when I noticed the smell.
The scene suddenly takes the movie into a really dark and somber place. Both Spielberg and Warner Brothers wanted the scene removed on the account that they couldn't tell if it was trying to be tragic or inappropriately funny. And they generally found the scene to be a bit heavy for a family movie. But Joe Dante wanted to keep the scene in, as he felt the bizarre tone of not knowing if this was to be taken seriously or if it was just a big bizarre joke was a perfect representation of the movie itself.
He was dressed in a Santa Claus suit. He was gonna surprise us.
So stayed, the scene did.
But that said though, the scene is still kinda weird. I mean, I don't dislike it. But just imagine if in The Wizard of Oz, while Dorothy is skipping down the yellow brick road with her friends, if she suddenly turned around and said, "My parents were horrifically decapitated in a horrific horse carriage accident." See? Weird.
Number 3. The movie helped create the PG-13 rating. Back in the innocent time of 1984, there was no PG-13. Nope, movies were either PG or R. And of course, because Gremlins was marketed as a family movie, it was given a PG rating. However, parents were shocked with the amount of violence and gore seen in the movie. Such as the kitchen scene where Billy Peltzer's mum goes all badass on the Gremlins and explodes one in the microwave and slices the other one up in the blender and even stabs another one with a kitchen knife. There were many complaints made that the movie was too scary and inappropriate for small children, which prompted Spielberg to propose the PG-13 rating, where movies for those under 17 can be made, but with a little bit of an edge added to them. To find middle ground, so to speak, between PG and R. So thus the world of cinema got PG-13. However, Gremlins wasn't the first movie to be classified with this rating. Nope, that was Red Dawn.
Number 2. The novelisation explained what a mogwai is.
Hey guys, I thought that present me will come and stop by halfway through the video to see how you're enjoying it. Are you enjoying it? Oh yeah, how's that part where I, do that thing, whatever. Anyway, so for this quick little segment, I thought I'd do a bonus fact and talk about the actual mogwai themselves. Because have you ever wondered, what exactly is Gizmo? Where does he come from? Well, the answers may lie in the novelisation, as the novelisation actually gives something of a backstory to Gizmo, as it's explained that he came from a superior alien race that sent mogwais to every living planet in order to teach societies all around the universe peace. Yeah, the only problem is that when they eat after midnight, they turn into homicidal monsters. Yeah, good one, alien race. Yeah, look, I appreciate it trying to add something different and interesting to the story, but yeah, it does seem a little bit too similar to E.T., and it does make this superior alien race seem a bit stupid. And not only that, but Joe Dante himself was not a fan of the novelisation and pretty much shrugged it off and said it's not canon. Anyway, let's go back to the video.
Number 1. Gizmo was meant to be the villain. Oh yeah, in the script it was Gizmo who was going to be the main culprit of causing chaos and destruction. You see, originally Gizmo was going to transform into the leader of the Gremlins known as Stripe. Yep, Gizmo and Stripe were meant to be one and the same character. And this wasn't just an idea that was floating around in the early days of production. Nope, this plot point was changed pretty far into the movie's development. And it was changed because it was felt that Gizmo was too cute to turn into a vicious gremlin monster. And it just would have upset the children whom at the start of the movie would have come to love Gizmo. So Gizmo and Stripe became two different characters. This also explains why in the second half, Gizmo actually kind of disappears from the movie, with only shots of him being seen in Billy's bag every once in a while. I think this was a good choice because Gizmo is cute and adorable. And if I ever met him, I would certainly want to give him a hug and some sandwiches. And making him an evil monster would have been kind of sad. And in addition to that, Stripe is an enjoyable main villain, and he just wouldn't have been as enjoyable knowing that he was previously Gizmo.
Well, that was my look into Gremlins. I love this movie, and even now that I'm a grown-up, I still find myself watching it every Christmas. Yep, some people watch It's a Wonderful Life to get their Christmas cheer. I watch Gremlins. Anyway, I'm Minty, and remember, if your internet ever starts playing up, before you call your service provider, just remember, you might just have a gremlin in your house.